Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the non-political show, Chingo Chats, because that's not the only thing rotting my brain. It's not just politics bouncing around in my head all damn day. It's your boy Chingo Bling. Buenos dias, good morning. It is August 2nd, year of our Lord, 2021. I got to say that because if not, people get mad if I don't say year of our Lord, 2021. We got producer Rob in the building.
What's up, man? How are you this morning?
Man, I'm slowly waking up pretty much. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but we up. We up.
No,
Up.
No, definitely. We gotta give each other little slaps in the face. Splash some water in there.
Yeah, I did the water splash and I did the coffee, but
I think people like when you genuinely roll into something like this, like because andas en chinga with the baby, with the tour, with everything. There's sometimes where we do super early stuff, and this is one of them. 9 o'clock is probably the earliest we ever record.
Yeah, and that I know some people are like, man, that ain't even early.
I know.
Because a lot of times I'm up by like 7:30.
I'm up at 6:30, yeah, every day.
La madre, 6:30 every day? Oh, shit. Well, you mentioned baby any minute now, and yeah, shit's getting real. She's like, I'm feeling this. This is happening. This is going on. Here are some changes. And I'm like, oh, Lord, here we go again.
So why don't you hit them with the tour dates so we can get into some of that?
Yeah, for sure, brother. Freedom of Speech Tour. We are headed to San Jose, California, August 18th. I don't know what Governor Newsom's going to try to do with these masks and stuff, but August 18th, I'll be at the San Jose Improv. Oh, August 21st, I may be in New Orleans.
Oh.
With John Cope.
What?
Jonathan Cope was putting together a freedom rally, protest / block party. So I'll let you guys know about that. If there's any Louisiana folks, let us know in the comments. Also, Denver, Colorado, August 27th through the 29th. El Paso, Texas. We're going to be at the Comic Strip, September 9th through the 11th. Brea Improv, Brea, California, September 15th. And then we had Oxnard at the Levity Live in Oxnard, rescheduled to September 16th. Addison, Texas, October 7th through the 10th. San Antonio, October 14th through the 16th. Irvine, November 3rd. And then back to Houston, November 5th through the 7th. And then that should be it. Even though I still want to do we're working on a lot of cities. I don't want to ruin it.
Sure. Yeah. To just continue the Freedom of Speech tour or to start something like another run of something else?
Maybe squeeze in some dates because, some of these, are sporadic and there's I don't know if there's a month off, but yeah. No. I be list cabrón.
Patreon.com/Red Tamales.
Patreon.com. Help support, keep us going, keep the podcast running. Help us keep red pilling people.
Yeah, you guys are great. We're well over 200. I think we're at 220, okay. 220 and a half. So that's pretty cool. Before we get back to the baby stuff, since we're starting this podcast relatively early to most recording days, what kind of a wrench does this throw in your morning? Like, what is Chingo Bling's routine right now in the morning?
Oh, man, it varies so much because it depends, what you have going on. But basically, let's just say if you and I were going to podcast at 10 a.m., then I just still try to get up early and knock out as much as I can in that little 2.5 hour window. Yeah. Whatever that may be. Try to read a little bit of the Bible, just get your mind right, maybe meditate while you're drinking your coffee, maybe attack something, like a little something on a to-do list, whether it's maybe not phone calls and emails. Yeah. But maybe return this thing at Home Depot, or don't forget to order these things off Amazon, or try to install this other thing and, haul some trash, Mexican stuff.
They had you working yesterday, man.
Yeah.
Who took that stuff? Was it your dad?
Well, here's what happened. While I was away in Phoenix, Arizona, shout out to Phoenix, my wife stayed back, because she's already about to pop. So she was just nesting. It's that thing. It's that biological thing that's
biological intuition.
Yeah, when it's man, we're about to greet our baby. Our baby's gonna be here.
And for people that don't know, Marisol loves organization to the max.
Yeah, she's kind of OCD.
A little bit.
But you wouldn't guess that the way our office and studio and house has been looking. Yeah. Probably for the past year.
And you want to know who's to blame to that? Supposedly,
probably me.
You, sir.
She says that.
Yeah. But most of this shit is hers.
Yeah, see, here's what happens too, man. Let's just say in the clothes department, you have a lot of stage clothing. Then you have costumes. Then you have wigs. She loves decorating for every holiday. So in our storage unit, there's my Halloween bins are over there next to my autumn and my fall bins. I'm like, ain't that the same
thing?
Yeah. They're like, no. We have 4th of July bins. We have St. Patrick's Day, President's Day, Columbus Day, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, all the days. It's Christmas, Halloween, New Year's. There's just like bins. And because she grew up Pentecostal, she wasn't allowed to
Celebrate.
go all out for Halloween and stuff. So now she's all in with Halloween. She's like, those are my costume bins. She's always making costumes. There's always photo shoots. It's always a production, and then with those photo shoots come outfits and props. And every birthday, put the mermaid stuff from Penny's 3rd year over there next to the Halloween and the autumn and the Memorial Day. And so with the clothing, people are always like, hey, man, what size you wear? Man, go check your P.O. box. And then we make a lot of merch. So it's like now I have some Thea shirts next to the Chingo Bling shirts with the Thea hats, with the Chingo Bling hats, with these sample hats that were made with next to these other hats someone gave me, next to my Trump hat I bought at the rally. And so now you just got 85 hats again, even though you just narrowed it down to 20 the other day. So it's just, you have to constantly just be like, okay. And then like junk mail.
Dude, yesterday.
Junk mail, it's just like, okay, why do we get so much mail?
Full of it. I have no idea. Have you ever looked into why people get so much unsolicited mail? You ever curious?
And we get a lot of other people's mail.
Really?
I guess people used to live here or something. I don't know.
Oh, dude. Theo Vaughn has that hilarious bit where, and this might offend a ton of people, but I thought it was hilarious. I think I might actually like screen recorded it and send it to you, where it was him and Andrew Schultz. And he was like, it was kind of like the podcast was just starting, and Theo just kind of jumps into something. He was like, hey man, I had this thought. Tell me if it's racist or not.
Oh, he's
he's like, I feel like the post office is they just hand a bunch of black people a bunch of packages and hoping they arrive at the right place.
Yeah, he says, is our mail system basically hand your mail to a black dude? Hand your mail to a black dude and hope, just wait till it gets there. It usually always gets there, but it's trippy how some, I guess, sectors of society or industries, for example, at the post office. It's a well-known fact. It's like black folk work at the post office.
Yes.
For whatever reason, maybe there's some big supervisors. Maybe they have like how they hire. Maybe white people don't apply.
Bro, can you write down on your notes for later's episode the U.S. Postal Union? Did you see that tweet from the union?
Yeah, they said they're against
the
mandate.
mandatory. Yeah, which that's huge to have the something like that come out. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get into all of that.
A lot of stuff going on.
But yeah, it's Theo Vaughn's funny, and it's crazy because the U.S. Postal Service, I need to memorize some of these stats, but I think it's the muchacho, what's his name, the economics dude, Quoth the Raven,
Chris Irons.
Chris Irons was on our show, and I believe we talked about it then, where the U.S. Postal Service pretty much loses millions of dollars every year. It's inefficient, and it's like what do you call that? It's a federal government.
Yeah, body.
It's not the private sector. It's
right.
not FedEx or UPS.
No, exactly.
So Trump used to always complain about it. Not all roads lead to Trump. I know this is not political, but Trump used to complain about it because he'd be like, "It's very inefficient,"
I think the running bit should be that we keep saying it's non-political, but really,
it's not political,
but really,
it's covert.
Y'all are getting 3 RPTs a week.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna touch on politics, but basically he was complaining how like it's inefficient, and it says a lot about how when you're in the private sector, when you're UPS, FedEx, or whoever, and you're having to compete with the price, like, okay, we're gonna mail this package, we're gonna charge the customer this amount because the post office charges X amount. However, we need to make profit to pay the driver, cover all expenses, the fuel, the warehouse,
our investors,
and make some left over for the shareholders.
Right.
So it says a lot about, I guess, maybe capitalism and just business as to how do you operate more efficiently and make more profit than the United States Postal Service.
Yeah, dude. Last night, Papa John himself was on Tim Pool's podcast.
Oh, word?
Have you ever heard his story?
Nuh-uh.
Holy shit, dude.
What does he sell? Tamales?
No, Papa John.
Yeah,
Papa
for the pizzas. That's right. So what's his story?
No. Do you remember the scandal that broke out like 2 or 3 years ago?
He was on the phone, said the N-word or something
right.
in a meeting. Yeah.
That's what everybody thinks, right? But it was all a setup, dude.
They hoaxed him?
His own board hoaxed him, dude.
They framed him. Okay.
You know, obviously this is all alleged, but it's still going on. There's still litigation. It's deep. I mean, from the commissioner of the NFL to like big companies that were partners of Papa John's Pizza.
They all wanted to frame him as a racist?
Dude. And
how'd they get him to say the N-word?
It was a sensitivity training, actually.
Okay.
And he didn't say it. He was referencing, apparently Colonel Sanders was a very like, he used that word vehemently and adamantly all the time. He just threw that shit around. Yeah. And he was referencing what not to do, basically. It was one of those things, one of those Netflix deals where that executive was like, hey, this is the kind of stuff we're not going to say or whatever. And then that guy got fired, the executive from Netflix, for saying it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because basically you're not allowed to say a handful of words no matter what, even if you're
describing it,
even if you're quoting somebody, reading something, or saying whatever you guys do. It's not nice to say X word.
Yes.
It's like aha.
Yeah, dude. It was one of those things, and I only knew just obviously the surface level of it, right? Because it kind of, after a couple of weeks or months that happened, it kind of just went away. But no, dude, he tells the whole story, and then he gets into like him in the Papa John's organization were huge in 4 big universities as far as like providing curriculum for entrepreneurs and teaching free market and teaching all this kind of shit. They wanted to put the kibosh on that as well.
Man, why were they going after him so bad?
You got to listen to the podcast because his curriculum that he developed for entrepreneurship and free markets and all that kind of stuff, capitalism, was out of 1,200 curriculums, I think, was number 4 within 1 year of being taught in those 4 schools.
Yeah, I wonder what why he had such a target on his back.
Because he's kind of like the way Chick-fil-A runs. His philosophy is exactly like his dream was to be as efficient and as driven as Chick-fil-A was, with their mission statement, with their customer service, with their ingredients, with their values. And that was, once it became a publicly traded company, a lot of things changed. He actually didn't even see it coming from his board of trustees or from his board of directors. That's how open he was to having other people, help him build this vision that he had. And he was very like,
what were those values? Right?
It was basically like what Chick-fil-A's are, without
like Christian and stuff.
Yeah, very, very
really
super Christian. Yeah,
Papa John, you should have went harder with the Christianity, brother.
So they touched on all that kind of stuff, man. It was really, really interesting.
That is very. I'm gonna definitely go listen to that.
He just sounds like a nice guy. Like he sounded like a super genuine guy, and he was painted like a piece of S.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man, because I don't want to get all like culture war and shit, but people get hoaxed and framed all the time.
Yeah,
right now it's like the information war. There's just a lot of what, the border's open? Hey, those aren't Mexicans, and it's just like people are like, bro, we're trying to tell you. Y'all too busy calling me a sellout. But anyway, last night we were watching, there's a series on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us.
Ooh.
Have you seen that?
No.
So first they had The Toys That Made Us, which was like, this is how He-Man came about.
This already sounds interesting.
It's like Mattel was going through a rough time. So The Movies That Made Us, we saw the episode of Back to the Future where it goes to the inception of like, Bob Gale and Bob Zemeckis had the script idea, and they had like 3 flops, like 3 movies didn't do well, and but Spielberg was their homie and this and that, and it just goes through like how Michael J. Fox wasn't even casted at first. Did you know that?
No.
They started filming the movie with this other cat, and that actor, he played. Do you remember? You're probably too young. Mask, the movie with Cher.
Jim Carrey. Oh,
yeah, it's the little boy with the deformed face.
Yes.
So it's that actor without the prosthetic. So he was casted as this
as Marty McFly.
Yes, because the main executive funding everything at the studio was like, "This is the guy I'm telling you. He did a great job in the Mask or whatever." And the actor was approaching the movie from a different standpoint. He was just like, this is a tragedy. Like he manipulates time, and all the world changes because of that. So now he's having to pretend and live in this life that he doesn't really recognize, and all this bullshit. So basically, that actor was approaching it in a totally different tone. And long story short, they ended up having to be like, this isn't the vision. Like, you're fired, bro. Like, we're going to have to reshoot all this stuff we already shot with Michael J. Fox, because they managed to get him on the project, even though he was busy with Family Ties. I didn't know Michael J. Fox's character on Family Ties was a young little Republican. He was a little conservative.
What?
Yeah, I didn't
no
know
idea.
that. Yeah, I had no idea. I used to watch it when I was a kid. But Marty McFly came in with that sitcom comedy timing.
Uh-huh.
So he brought that film to life where he, just the way he would. They said on day one, he got a laugh, like already out the gate. Because, like, he came in on set. They were shooting at the mall. That scene where it's like, the Libyans are coming. The Libyans are coming. The van with the Libyans or whatever. It's very xenophobic. Don't say that. So basically, he tells Doc Brown, like, you built a time machine out of a DeLorean or whatever. And it's like, okay, he's got that sitcom timing. He understands how to look at the script and look at where the punchlines are and how to set it up so that it could be that product, that we all love today. So that was interesting, man, seeing all the behind the scenes. And then they had another episode. This was the one we saw last night about Jurassic Park, where they're talking about how they were going to do stop motion at first.
Yes.
And with stop motion, every frame, every movement, every shot is clear. There's no blur,
right,
like in a real action. So they had this viejito who had worked on stop motion, and he's like trying to make it happen. Meanwhile, there's this other studio that was in charge of some other visual effects and graphics. One of the dudes at that studio was like, man, I'm telling y'all, stop motion that's not going to be justice to these dinosaurs. I'm going to secretly work on CGI, which is some new shit at the time. And he started like drawing, making the dinosaur 3D. And without giving it away, there's a story where they invited some of the people from the studio, the production, to come look at some of the things they were working on. But they purposely had the monitor like in that office door open, like showing like the fucking badass CGI T-Rex running. Yeah. And they're like, what is that? Oh, it's just some other stuff, we're working on. So they like had to pull a stunt and almost screwed over the stop motion man who's like, oh my God, I'm about to be extinct.
Yeah.
Obsolete. And it was really cool how they had to roll with the punches. They filmed in Hawaii, freaking hurricane hits. They're in the middle of this production. Steven Spielberg's like, film the hurricane. We need some of these shots. And then when they were building this fake Jurassic Park in Hawaii, they were running out of money and time. So it's like everything is still under construction, like the greeting lobby of this fake park. And they're like, fuck it, we're just going to film it and just say it's under construction in the movie. So that's why there's like literally scaffolds. They're like, yeah, we're almost done with it. It's going to be great. So they had to roll with the punches and adjust the script. And
it's really fascinating how stuff like that, like projects that become basically like cult classics and just staples in culture and society, start from nothing, like most things, right? Like they have this tiny budget. They
ideas.
Have, just pure ideas. They turn into these multi-million-dollar, like Fast and the Furious is another one, right? Fun little fact, though, about Marty McFly. Had it not been Michael J. Fox to play Marty McFly, who knows if that scene where he's like shredding on the guitar happens. That scene is what inspired a young John Mayer to pick up the guitar.
Really?
And play like Marty McFly.
Damn, he really did affect the future.
Dude, yes.
A la madre. They said by the time they were filming Back to the Future, how many did they make? Three, I think. I think by part 3, they said he started showing a little bit of signs of Parkinson's.
Oh, shit.
Like some scenes where he's like running.
That long ago?
Yeah. Well, part 3, yeah. Because then he went on to do I never watched it, but he went on to do a whole... What was that show? It's like Office.
Yeah, I was trying to think of it as you were talking.
I can't think of the name, but I think that's when like his Parkinson's really started to kick in.
Damn.
It's sad, man, because those kind of degenerative, brain type diseases, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's. What is it? Lou Gehrig's? What's the one where they're doing the ice bucket challenge?
Oh, Lou, and it wasn't Lou Gehrig's. It was ALS? I don't know. Yeah. Was it ALS?
Yeah, ALS, where I guess you start losing control of like not being able to like chew, swallow, move.
Your central nervous system, basically.
So you're just like trapped in your body.
A vegetable. Can you imagine?
Damn, son. No, hell no, I don't want to imagine that shit. Que ni lo mande Dios.
Que ni lo mande. No, but no, yeah. What do you think? So the Fast and Furious, the reason I bring that up, I love the fucking franchise. I know it's so absurd at this point. Like, I still watch the first movie. I watched it like 2 days ago, periodically. Like, if I'm just like editing something, I don't even have to pay attention to it. Just having it on is just like that 1999, 2001 era of like cars and movies and those characters. it changed the world literally of like the automotive world and what became this Fast Furious franchise. But the budget was so low on that first movie that the way they had to call people to like bring their cars in because they could only get like 2 or 3 of the cars that were actually in the movie. The way that Vin and everybody's vision for the movie was, and the way the director and the stunt people, the whole thing was just like kind of a just let's throw shit at a wall and see what happens. And you can kind of obviously tell if you go watch it, you're like, the acting's terrible. The cars, you can tell when they were automatics and they weren't really manual transmissions. There were just a lot of things to the movie that don't really make sense, but it was still an enjoyable movie. And now they're on the 9th one and they're in space and fucking driving cars through buildings and all kinds of stuff.
Oh wow!
It's no longer about the car scene, really. It's just like an action movie with people that have cool cars. But what do you think? What makes a movie like that go from it's probably got no chance to we got something on our hands? Is it a combination of the cast? Is it just the idea of being really original? Like, what to you is the most important part of a motion picture taking off?
Well, shit, I've never been involved in something that damn big. Biggest production I've probably been involved in was either like even Philly Brown was independent. And then,
that was a pretty big
a lot of this.
reveal.
Damn, I just realized I'm B-list, bro. Like it just hit me. I'm D-list. Damn, I just realized that shit. I ain't know. I thought I was a pimp in my own mind. But yeah, even like Philly Brown was like super like pretty low budget. Where, I mean, they had a budget, but obviously you compare it to freaking Jurassic Park or anything like that. It's like, yeah, that's very local, yokel, independent.
Right.
They were just lucky enough to get, Jenny Rivera and me. And then even Gina Rodriguez, the star, she was up and coming. She was just like a young actress that was really good at her shit. She was just like killing it in auditions. And anytime she'd get like a little small role in something, she'd steal the show, steal the scene. She's really good at what the fuck she does. She's a fucking actress. Who knows, man? Maybe one day she can like teach.
Yeah,
and show these little motherfuckers how it's done. Even the Netflix, They Can't Deport Us All. That's the whole point of production is like, how do you take $10, make it look like $100?
Mm-hmm.
And then from what I've seen in those episodes, how like you said, there were so many things that were technically off in Fast and the Furious. We're like, hey, that doesn't jive, that doesn't add up, that's not accurate. But they trick your brain because with sound effects and the quick cut and the angle, it's like you didn't notice they cut from a animatronics T-Rex to CGI T-Rex. So when you're seeing the T-Rex full body, that's the CGI. But then if it cuts to, its head up close, it's like some puppeteer shit.
Yeah. Well, you saw the first one, right? You remember the first Fast and the Furious or no?
Not really.
Okay, well, there's that famous scene where Vin Diesel and Paul Walker race at the end, right? His Charger and the Supra, and they go past that train, like they break through the railroad tracks, and the train barely misses them. Well, when that race takes off, he's like, I'm going to the light. When it turns green, I'm going or whatever. And he does a burnout, but he pops a wheelie and does a burnout at the same time with the smoke. Like, that's just physically impossible, right? But that suspension of disbelief is what really makes a person who might kind of know about cars and kind of know about racing enjoy a movie like that. And the whole movie was filled with, like, little things like that.
Yeah, it's like a magic trick. So, for instance, the DeLorean in Back to the Future, they were showing how the art design team, they were having to use random stuff. Like, okay, this looks like it could go here. This could be part of the flux capacitor. Mm-hmm. They literally took like an old hubcap and made it that part of the DeLorean in the back that's sticking out. You know, that circle looking thing?
Yeah.
It was a hubcap with some spray paint. And then one of the T-Rexes in it's the Jurassic Park, they made it out of like painted spongy foam of some sort. And they really wanted to make it be raining in this one particular shot. Steven Spielberg's like, man, put some fucking rain in that shit. This shit got to look more lit. And the animatronics dude is like, this is all painted foam. We didn't know it was going to get wet. So now something that was weighing like a ton is now weighing 9 tons because it's getting soaked.
Right.
And so now his head, it's swelled up. So now the CGI guy got to go back and make his T-Rex fatter looking because we got a swolled up, soaked up giant sponge. So yeah, all those little things, man, it's all part of the magic trick. Even when you're doing stand-up, like I'm still a white belt, in my opinion. I show a lot of promise. You know what I'm talking about? I got black belt tendencies. You know what I'm talking about?
That's exactly what it is.
So even in stand-up, like some of the greats and even some of the greats that I roll with, you're just observing, and it's like, how did they make that scripted joke seem so off the cuff and in the moment? It's like, that's the magic trick. How did you bring all these people together, make them all laugh, get them all on the same vibration, the same wavelength, and make it seem like you're just telling the story, shooting the shit in the moment? Like, how do you pull that off? How do you make it not seem like you're reading and you're memorizing, you're just doing a speech and it's so scripted? So
that's a good question, actually. Let me ask you, as just a fan of comedy and somebody who barely dabbled in doing an open mic or two, what is the biggest attributor to that? Like, what makes you or lets you hone in on that ability?
Okay, so from my experience thus far, some things that I try to keep in mind is listening in the moment, like being as present as possible, so that you're literally there with them. Like
so as you're telling the jokes.
Yeah, you're listening. This is some Joey Diaz shit. I know he preaches that, but it's absolutely true. You might be the one up there talking, holding the mic, juggling your script in your head and kind of like looking at, okay, the wait staff is about to drop checks. Someone almost tripped and fell by the restroom. Like, this person's not paying attention. She's on her phone. You're processing all that, but you're listening intently. Like, what is the word? Like, ruthlessly listening in the moment, being as present. Like, these little fucking pelitos in your ears are just so that you can get your timing right. You can hear where the laughs are. How strong was that laugh? What kind of laugh was it? Is the laugh about to subside? Now I'm about to hit you again.
Yeah.
Also, when you're up there performing like an actor in a way, you're showing the thoughts in your face. Like, you're imaging. Like, you have to be visualizing that story you're telling. If you don't see it, they can't see it. And that's going to allow you to, like, thread the thoughts, if you will. Like, I know that shit don't make, that's some acting class shit, but like,
no, that makes total sense.
So basically,
you're connecting the dots that way.
Yeah, you're communicating in a clear way. You're connecting the dots. You're setting it up versus like, and I'm nervous and I'm trying to tell you this joke. This is a tag punchline. Why didn't it work?
Yeah.
And in order to pull off that magic trick, I also would argue that I learned the hard way, because these are just things that I have to constantly refer to and basically beat it into my brain, so that I don't always have so that I never have a half-ass set that I'm having to go back to later and be like, fuck, I should have had more energy. Or, you know what? The attitude was missing. Or, you know what? I lacked confidence. That's some shit that Rick Gutierrez taught me, which is attitude, energy, confidence. So you want to allow a little bit of space. Let's just say you want to keep it 80% script. Allow at least 20% of breathing room for improv.
Yeah.
That way, it's not so regimented. It's not so structured. It's a little bit more like, I told it different that way. You know what? I paused longer than usual on that part. Or I normally say it like this. This time I threw the line out.
It wasn't so cookie cutter.
Yeah. So that you're allowing a little bit of, you can riff a little bit. That way, that 20% of spontaneous stuff merges and blends with the 80% of scripted, to where it all seems very like a fresh performance, a fresh right brain performance.
That sounds like that should be a book. What did Rick teach you? What are the three?
His main little keys, amongst other things that he taught me, is attitude, energy, confidence.
Attitude, energy.
Yeah, attitude, energy, confidence. So basically, his method is, if you focus at least on those three pillars, that's going to cover the vast majority of your live performance. So if you're not confident, there's going to be doubt, then fear clicks in, and then the audience can smell your doubt. They can, it's public speaking. The water. Yeah, you done chum the water. So with public speaking, I love paying attention to that shit. It's very difficult to do, for some, but I love observing like pastors, preachers, other comedians. Even you're at a wedding and someone's like, ting, 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 hey, man.
Right.
Thank you guys for coming out for my brother-in-law. Hey, bro, I love you. You know what
dude,
I mean?
I fucking love doing that shit because people are so terrified of it.
Oh, yeah? You like doing that type of shit?
Yeah.
Well, you're a good communicator. You're a good listener.
I appreciate that. It's not like the public speaking thing. Like, you know, Seinfeld has that famous line, like, there's people are scared of two things, you know, death and public speaking. And then when people walk into a funeral, most of them rather be in the casket than next to it. Which is, I could see that, you know. But what you're saying about that whole thing, attitude, energy, confidence, right? If people took that just into life, it'd be a game changer, right? But talking and getting somebody to, like, I've given like 2 best man speeches kind of thing, or speeches at weddings. And then there's the best man and then the maid of honor, right? Is the girls' whatever choice. And the girls typically have they have a harder time, you know, trying to get the speech going.
Are you saying this is part of the patriarchy that traditionally in Western cultures, women have been held down? There are things that perpetuate differences along the lines of gender, is what you're saying.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Basically, trans men should be able to go into women's bathrooms. That's kind of what you're saying, AOC.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So go on, Comrade Castro.
I'm from Project Veritas.
Yeah. Hey, so that was hilarious.
Dude, that was best reel I think we ever posted on the page. Like it got like 10,000 views in like 5 minutes.
And okay, I got to go look at those comments so I can.
Yeah, go in there.
My page, man. I think I'm starting to get shadow banned. But go on.
Yeah, no, you should go back as you onto the What They Said page and comment to those. But no, just that, like the confidence and the energy and all that. It's a hard thing for people to pull out of themselves, you know? Even if, that's why when I started podcasting, I was literally, you know, like those man on the street kind of shows. I was doing that with people that I wanted to talk to, that I agreed to. I wasn't just running up on them, but like, I didn't have a studio. They weren't going to go out to bumfuck Egypt where I was. So I would
take it to them.
Yeah, I'd go to a coffee shop. I'd meet them at a wine bar, like 13 Celsius down here in Midtown. And I'd pull out the Zoom, the original Zoom that I had, and some mics and headphones. And we would just start chopping it up on like the patio, or if they had like a lounge inside.
How did it sound?
Not bad. Like you could use some like noise removal. I tried to get into the most quiet areas. But there was something about, and maybe this is just the time when people were like podcasting, like starting them from scratch all the time, which they still are, that the ambiance was kind of like, it was kind of cool. It was kind of endearing. Like if you see or if you listen to a live stand-up set, you can hear the clinking and you can hear some of the noise. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of vibe that it gave, and I just kind of ran with it.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So I would interview people, and I still have all these recordings. Like the first dozen were just like, you can tell you can sound young and sound inexperienced at something. And then like, you know, 100 years later, you're like, what happened that you go from the telling the joke really nervously and having the fear to, is it just reps? Because at 100, you're like, all right, today's guest, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about this, blah, that. And then you ask these questions and the flow is there. Whereas before there was absolutely no flow. Yeah.
I would argue that practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice is more likely to make you perfect-ish.
If you take anything, that was the line to take from this episode.
Yeah, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So, for example, when you're at the amateur level, right? Let's say you're an open micer, or you're new to whatever it is. You know, you're holding the sword too tight. You know, you're thinking about too much stuff.
That's a good analogy.
And you're putting too much focus on one particular aspect. So, yes, you can have a lot of practice doing jiu-jitsu. You can have a lot of practice doing, you know, guitar or interviewing people. But if you're not making a conscious effort to edit and course correct, then you start to just pick up bad habits. Like, oh yeah, me and my buddy do jiu-jitsu. And it's like, he's pretty good and he taught me everything I know. Or, yeah, I go to all the open mics. And it's like, yeah, no wonder you fucking suck. You keep picking up bad habits.
It's so true,
at these
dude.
fucking open mics.
The jiu-jitsu one is a really good example too, because people that don't know what they're doing, they go in there and you just try to muscle your way out of everything, and it creates those bad habits of, you know, not framing properly, and they're gonna grab your arm or they're gonna grab your neck, and you're not gonna learn if you keep doing that.
Yeah, man, I need to get back in that shit because everything you just said went over my head. But basically, for example, George Perez, check out his podcast, George Perez Stories. I did a couple shows with him, and you could just tell when somebody's more of a black belt, more of a master. They just been around the block a little bit. He gave me a couple pointers. I know we did Long Beach and Fresno, And it might have been in Long Beach where he's like, yeah, fool, like, man, you know, you're hitting them hard, you're beating them up. Like, check this metaphor. He's like, hey, dog, it's kind of like you're fucking a bitch, right? Excuse my language, right? There's probably kids listening. He's like, you already working with a lot, and yeah, you're getting all this audio confirmation.
Yeah.
But you ain't got to go that hard. Basically, it's almost like you're already working with a lot. Stop trying to, like, you know, you beating up the audience. You're just It's almost like space it out, take your time a little bit. They already love you. They're here to see you. Like, I guess what he was just trying to say is, like, you know, don't try to swing for the fences on every joke. Maybe I don't know. Hard to interpret that one. But and then I'm thinking Fresno. He was like, hey man, he's like, what did he say? He's like, you're like Neo in the Matrix. He's like, you don't even know all the different powers and things you're able to control and manipulate. He's like, how the stage can, you know, how you can maybe start to visualize the stage, how, you know, how you move around and things like that. Basically saying, like, once you really tap in to the mechanics of it, now you're in the Matrix version of not this how do I explain it? You know, when you get on your computer, right? And you see a folder and you see a file name, because that's the visual representation of what the ones and zeros are really doing, like what the software and the code. In other words, you're not looking at the code, you're looking at the desktop.
Right.
He's like, once you get into the code behind the desktop, now you can really be Neo and fucking dodge bullets, and now you're up there being a master. And it's like, how did he do that?
Yeah, I wonder if that's kind of an energy conservership of sort, where if you've got a string of shows, if you're hitting them, if you're knocking them out every show, the early show, the late show, and then the next day, same on, you know, it kind of wears you out as the weekend goes on. For example, that's what I thought when you said that right now. Like, if you're doing 4 shows or 5 shows. If you don't spread it out, you're probably by the last 2 shows, you're gonna be like, man, do I have anything more to give this audience?
I guess the way I interpreted it, because it's all interpretation, right? Basically, it's almost like you become more of a master level where you can peep the nuance in between the notes. Like, if you're a musician, it's like you can strum the guitar 2 different times, and to the average audience member, it's like, yep, it sounds totally good. But your John Mayer or somebody might be like, yeah, but I held that last little string, and I just kind of glided so subtly. Yep. I guess it's those little minute, like, I paused slightly longer before that punchline. Yeah. Or here's an important one. I stood extra still on the punchline, because that's some shit they taught me in acting class, in comedic acting, and it just works. Like, if y'all notice, a lot of my characters, whether it's Canelo, Juve, any of these people, I try to make them, like, in my mind, they have to be real, like real people. Like, I have to not sound all, artsy, fartsy, but like, it has to be real. Like, would Juve say that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not going to jump on green screen and just start saying a bunch of stuff if I can't picture El Mamado. Like, okay, well, where has he been? Right. Or not to be all like, well, what's his motivation? But a lot of times as Canelo or Juve or any of these people, I'm really just saying these lines with a straight face. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm not like, and then sauce. You know, it's not like, and then pinche Floyd Mayweather te parto el hocico. It's more like, hey, wait, te voy a partir el pinche hocico, wait. Like, yeah. He didn't even move his mouth that much. His eyes, nothing even moved. He just said it. And I feel that sometimes people are like, oh my God, how are you saying this shit with a straight face? It just makes it that much funnier. Like, how do you not hear what you're saying? Why are you not laughing? Sometimes you'll hear the cameraman laughing. And that's part of my tool belt. Yeah. To where it's like, I see some of these Instagram comedians or people that do skits, and to me, mucha crema, way. Sometimes it don't be as funny because they're like, And then my mom is like, and then, Latina moms, and then they come out and they got a towel on their head and they doing this and that. And it's like, okay, yes, but you borderline cringy now. Like, mijo, no.
Yeah, there's no subtlety to it.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, Latina moms do say stuff like that, but I didn't believe you.
Right.
Or they don't say it the way you said it.
So I have a good buddy of mine who swears up and down that he understands the TikTok algorithm, okay?
A la madre. Okay,
Hear me out. So he's working with, I think, a company or two on their TikToks or whatever, and he's like, dude, I have this idea for it, and it's in the gaming world, and I've been, up and down trying to figure out something to do with it. Because like I said, when I do have downtime and I play, I'm like, all right, can I make something out of this content I'm already going to make anyway? Like, I don't play on camera. I don't stream on Twitch or anything. But if I'm already going to take the time to play with him or anybody else for an hour or two a week, can I do something with this, right? And then I know you and I always talk about, like, what could you do with gaming? And I'm looking at this green screen, and I'm thinking of the idea that he pitched me yesterday. So we're going to try it. And I don't want to talk about it yet, but, like, people aren't doing this type of short form, TikTok, green screen in the game gaming kind of content, because it's what you see is a lot of people that are pretty good at a game hop on a game. Let's just take do you know any comedians or anybody that play video games pretty well that post that you follow maybe?
Comedians that do gaming?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna do it this Tuesday, but go on.
Are you?
Me and Frank are planning on just diving in because he has a little setup and whatever.
Sweet.
But no, I can't really think of.
Okay, well, let's just say I don't know. We got Mighty Mouse Johnson. He's a former UFC champion. He gets on. He's really good at Call of Duty. He hops on Call of Duty. He'll hop on his Twitch and he'll have his chat going while he's playing, and he's playing really well, and he's not really interacting with the chat. Okay, but he's really famous, and people want to watch him play, and he's really good. And I also enjoy watching people that are really good play a game. It's like watching anybody that's good at anything do that thing.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to be entertaining, if the goal is to sell the product as an entertaining product, anybody can hit a cool sniper shot, right? Anybody can get lucky and maybe hit something that a professional could hit if you get lucky. And if the professional does it, well, he does it all the time, so what's the big deal? So what entertaining product are you selling as the gamer, right? In this world where everybody's a Twitch streamer, everybody's a Facebook gaming streamer, everybody wants to be a podcaster. So we have this idea to do something that just isn't really being done in the sense of selling an entertaining product while you're gaming, not that you're really good at the game. And what made me think of all this just now was what you're saying with your characters. It's like that last example, you're borderline cringy, you're going over the top, you're almost not believable. If somebody were to do that in gaming, it would, if you were to do basically what you did with that Theo Juve sketch yesterday, where you're
while gaming. Yeah. That's what I plan on doing, is like sucking at the game but talking good shit.
Okay, pretty much. It's pretty much like that, but you can't completely suck at the game and suck at the talking shit. Yeah. You got to be mediocre at best, average at the game, or even if you suck, but you're really good at the talking shit part of putting that together. Yeah. It can work out. Or the way he sees it, the way he convinced me of it, like, okay, so we're gonna give it a go in the month of August. One, because we banked all the episodes for Mighty Soul. Yeah,
man, Rob is a soldier. He's been up here every day.
Yeah, every day.
I'm just like, God damn, Rob. Hey, what's up, Rob? Like, man, you want to just move in, brother?
Yeah, dude. If you have the restroom in here, I would.
I mean, hey, we got such a good AC now. Shout out to this AC.
Is a game changer,
right? Y'all can't even hear it. I'm cold right now,
dude. You can't hear it on the post. Like it sounds.
I need to start wearing a hoodie in this bitch.
It's also in Celsius. I think that's like 65 Fahrenheit.
Look, man, it fell off a truck in Mexico. That's all y'all need to know.
You don't even know need to know that.
This is a little immigrant AC. It went through a couple tunnels to get here. Some people got paid off. Customs had to look the other way. Let's just say the paperwork don't match the serial number on that device. But I'm not even gonna tell y'all who installed it, because we don't need to connect too many names. But he is a captain of the Thea.
Jesus Christ. Back to what we were saying.
Yeah, go on.
Are you going to start another TikTok? Or are you going to add it to your current TikTok? Or do you even want to talk about it?
For what, the gaming?
Yeah.
Honestly, I wasn't even really thinking TikTok with the gaming.
Okay. What do you think?
Obviously, if there's like a funny little 20-second clip, then put it everywhere. I was just wanting to, like, I know Facebook Watch does a lot with gaming, and I know YouTube. Twitch, I don't really mess with that much at the moment, but
from what I hear, it's dying.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like live streaming in general is just dying. Like the viewership is down for all the major streamers, all the major gamers.
I wonder what happened.
Maybe it's that my thought was that people are getting back to work. So in some places, the world's kind of opening up in some places, and you just can't sit at home. Even though a lot of these people are younger, right? Maybe they're going back to school. I don't know, but the viewership of the live Twitch experience is going down.
Wow. Just Twitch or all streaming?
That's the people that I know are mainly Twitch streamers, and that's what they say. But I don't know. It could be going up on Facebook or YouTube. It's up in the air.
Yeah, I was just trying to make some funny content. Like, for example, just to test it out, just have Theo Hoovet playing because he's going to probably suck. And be funny at it. Yeah. So, here's what I think. I feel like more lockdowns are coming. I feel that, we have some nice bells and whistles coming to the studio, some cool new lights and cameras and things that are going to be incorporated, maybe like a whole new set on this side. But, it's because we have to find a way to, by any means necessary, if touring goes away, which it can and it may and it might, and I want to have shit set up regardless, whether like touring is booming or whether it's like lame, where they're making everybody wear masks and stuff and people aren't comfortable, and or venues or certain states have weird rules like you got to be vaxxed to come in here and all. I don't put it past them, and that's more of a red pill tamal type of convo. But yeah, it's kind of like, okay, what we gonna do? Because we got mouths to feed, and even if it has nothing to do with entertainment, even if it's like, all right, bro, you about to do this whole other thing, then so be it. But you don't want to get caught. What is it? Caught with your drawers down or whatever?
Caught with your pants down. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, shit. I'm not against any kind of manual labor. I was telling Don the other day, I was like, hey, I might get a pressure washer, and because the subdivision we moved into is brand new development, right? And all these houses are coming up. And when they finish these houses, they don't like clean your driveways. They don't clean, the corner of the sidewalks. They're all like dirty and dingy. Yeah. And they all just leave them like that. And I was like, I could just get one, clean mine, hey man, let all the neighbors know. I think it looks dirty and it looked shitty, so I cleaned mine. Do you want me to do yours as well? $100 or whatever.
Hell yeah.
It's same thing with the lawns. All these people are every day. We get like 4 or 5 different like things to do their lawns. I don't mind doing it. I actually find it pretty enjoyable. I'd be like, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. I live here. I just wanted to see if you guys, wanted to whatever. Just as an idea. Yeah. As if I weren't already busy enough right now. But if what you're saying, things completely come to a halt, there's contingency plans, I guess. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. It sounds, what's the word, man? It's practical.
And relaxing in a way. And I don't want to say relaxing because I know it gets hot out there and it could be hard work. But to me, it almost sounds like a little bit less pressure than having to meet certain expectations. In other words, you don't have to fight an algorithm to have some clients for like lawn care or whatever. It's kind of like there's a service, there's a thing, we have the tools, I have the time, I can do it, versus like, oh yeah, well, how are you going to compete against,
being shadow banned?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's why I was stressing it last week about doing our best, like, conscious effort to work within these parameters of these algorithms and whatever the guidelines are, because this content can live on Patreon. Actually, that reminds me, I saw an email come in from somebody that said that we had deleted a comment on.
Yeah, what's that about?
Did you see that too?
Yeah, someone said comments got deleted on what? On Patreon?
On Patreon, yeah. So if you're listening to this, and maybe we'll bring it up here when we do RPT as well, because I'm pretty sure, I know it was a TIA member. I don't know if they have this version of the Chingo chats, but it's actually a thing. and
Patreon is
and it made me think of Sam Tripoli, right?
Patreon is blocking comments, bro.
They're from what I read. And it's not uncommon. It's kind of common, but it's basically an AI thing where if it's too long or it sounds too
copy paste spammy.
If it sounds too spammy and it sounds like it could be in violation of just basically like trolling, inside of Patreon, it'll just get removed.
But these are patrons.
I know. That's kind of where the problem lies. So we have the email, and I was actually going to ask you if you had deleted it by any chance, by accident maybe. And I'll repost it for you on your behalf and say, hey, like, and also with it's a support link from Patreon that says, if this happens, reach out to us on this email. Let us know if you think it was an error, and we'll correct it. So somebody had posted a comment about, we were talking about Abraham Lincoln or whatever, and there is a lot of things about Abraham Lincoln if you go deep into the books about him and his past and how he was a tyrant to a lot of people and have some really good historical knowledge about him. And he made a really good point, and I wanted to talk about it. That was last Friday. So I saw it in an email. I didn't see it inside of Patreon. And then I was going in there to post a link for whatever, the last RPT or something. And I happened to notice a notification was like, oh, you're deleting paying patrons' comments now? And I was like, what? So then I started researching it, and it's something that does happen. And you can just reach out to them, and they'll reverse it and just tell them, like, it wasn't spam, I wasn't trolling. But even if it were spam or trolling, people are paying to be inside of that portal or whatever. So throwing that out there to everybody that gets this episode, which everyone will get eventually, even if it's next month.
Well, Sam Tripoli is on Rockfin.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk to him later today because I'm going to be finally, because we keep having to reschedule. So I'm doing a tinfoil hat episode after a little bit later. And I'm going to be like, so how y'all pay over there with the Rockfin?
Yeah, how does it work? But also, it needs a lot of updates.
Rockfin does?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not as user-friendly. Even Patreon, that's pretty basic. It has your media player inside the window. Because I signed up. I love Conspiracy Social Club. Love Sam and Bryan Callen. And it's just not as convenient. You can't pause and play really easily. You have to have that one window open. You can't look at the rest of Rockfin while you're listening to an episode. You can only listen to that episode. It's very rudimentary. And I remember Sam talking about, Bryan said, we can't jump on there because they don't have an Android app at the time. They only had one for iOS. Mm-hmm. So then like a month later, they're like, hey, surprise, they're launching the Android version too. And then cut to July, they completely went off Patreon and went on Rockfin. Mm-hmm. So then I went and signed up, and it's just not there yet. I would be super annoyed to pay whatever, $10 and only get my content there because all the shows that I want to listen to are on Rockfin, and they're not on Apple anymore, they're not on Patreon anymore because of the user friendliness. Like, I would literally have to stop what I was doing to be able to do anything. I couldn't pause or play for my headphones because I always have my headphones in, and it was just like, okay, I see where it's going. The app is pretty cool. Like, it is aesthetically pleasing. There's a lot of features and functions to it, but the pause play function wasn't really that ideal yet.
You know what, man? I had a little phone meeting. I'll tell you more about it off air. They have an app, and I don't know. Since these motherfuckers got like a little development team, I wonder if we could be like, hey man, here are some things we're up against. Do y'all have an alternative? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Está cabrón.
So that's why, keeping in touch with everybody inside the Patreon's great. Let us know if stuff like that does happen, because now that I've said it, you can research it and see that it does happen. Just gone. Comments can just disappear.
Wow, man.
Which is, it is what it is, but it goes back to building your own thing, being pandemic proof, not having to rely on algorithms, and it all just start with people at least joining somewhere. Patreon being the place to join right now. Now that we have your emails, we don't have a newsletter or anything. We don't hit you with a bunch of stuff, but if we needed to, we could get in contact to you and say, hey, Chingo's account got 24-hour banned again, in case you're wondering, or whatever, or we're going to be in your town.
Yeah. Or the government is trying to just turn off everyone, turn off the email and be like, oh my God, sorry, we got hacked. That's more of an RPT.
Hack. Hey, before we wrap this up, I got to ask you, when you go up there on the green screen or whatever, and your Tío Juve, like the one you did yesterday, is it all improv? All of it is improv?
Yeah. So basically what I did was I did it all like in a 25-minute span, like multiple things, because they're going to be short. So I just sat right there on that stool. I propped up an iPad right here.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, okay, I know I want to talk about, because see, the next episodes that are coming, I'm talking about the Sports Illustrated, the trans person on there, the Vicky's Secret Angels, and they want to have these purple haired Karens on there. So I knew I had some topics, and then, because the show, it doesn't really have structure. It's like there's not really an intro. I just kind of went in like, oh, mi productor Pancho me está diciendo,
like that,
las noticias or whatever. So I just knew I had little topics to react to so that Juve can give his take on it and still be based about it, but be funny and entertaining, because it's like, man, we got to red pill people by any means necessary, because the information is not getting out. People have no idea. They don't, especially some of my people that follow me.
I mean, some of your comments yesterday were like, how is it possible that Chingo Bling is the only Latino celebrity of any sort that is talking about this stuff?
And people just call me a sellout, coconut, race traitor, blah, 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 culture vulture, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, back to the question. So I got in front of the green screen, turned on the lights, press record on the iPad, and then just started going through each topic. Like, okay, resulta que la revista Sports Illustrated se trataba de tener viejas en tangas, güey. You know, pero resulta que ahora van a poner vatos y vatas and, you know what I'm saying? And gordas, feas, viejas chancludas, you know, whatever. And then it's kind of a little bit of a process. So then within the iPad, I started on iMovie, like swapping out the background, cutting off some of the fat, like me getting up, adjusting, cut all that out. And then I had to, because iMovie's very limited, then I had to export that. So now I'm on Premiere on the laptop. Now I'm able to go in, add sound effects, music, text, a little bit easier, quicker. So right now, that's my system. That's the system right now. We shall see. I just bought some memory cards, so I don't know if I'm going to just start doing it with a different camera or keep it on the iPad. Je ne sais pas.
Yeah, man, you just got to make it as streamlined as possible. Like without, a system that doesn't. I mean, we have the camera, but then you need a capture card to the computer, and it starts becoming too much for you. And if you have the other stuff that you're juggling as well, like right now having a baby, then it'll probably be harder for you to stick to that schedule. But like, what is it gonna be called? Is it La Pura Neta with?
Oh, I don't know what we're gonna call the Juve show.
It's funny
because I think the running joke. I got a lot to say about this, but I feel like the running joke is gonna be like, he don't know what he's gonna name it, and he's always throwing out, it's puro pinche desmadre con tío Juve. The next episode, he might be like, saca la bolsita, ya está la sopa, like whatever. Aquí en la carne asada con tío Juve, or pisteando puro cotorreo with tío Juve. Just every week, it's like, okay, what the fuck is the name of the show?
Yeah.
All we know is that every Wednesday you're gonna have a clip. So back in the day, we had this little show called Wetback Wednesday, and this was when I lived in Pearland. It was like, I guess you could call, like, not the pool house or nothing like that, but it was like this room like this above the garage. And basically, I'd go upstairs with my friends, Frank and them, Bad Apple and all these people, Frank's cousin, Willie. And I made a background with like a bunch of flyers and posters. It's like, okay, we're just going to drape this wall just to be like some kind of backdrop. And I came up with the structure of the show. So I was like, all right, we're going to have a fake sponsor, a fake commercial every week. We're going to have a Nalga time, which is like, oh shit, is it, what time is it, bro? Shit, is Nalga time? Is it already Nalga time? It's like, here's some Nalgas. And then it will cut to like Brazilian chicks shaking it. And then it, just to kill that little 30-second time and be silly. And then it cut back. And then it might be like, now we're improvising. So basically, I got to give these dudes props, man. Frank's cousin, Willie, and what's his name? One Bad Apple. I haven't seen these dudes in years, but we used to literally just grab some wigs and some random costumes and be like, all right, I'm going to be a safari dude and I'm giving y'all a tour and va a ser un desmadre. Like, okay, bienvenidos. Hey, cuidado, güey, porque hay lagartos, güey. Hay lagartos. Ah, cabrón, hey, compadre. You know what I mean? And you're just freestyling. And when you improvise, dude, improv is so much fun. When you improvise, especially with people that know how to play the game and volley, basically. Yep. It can go down some funny paths where it's like, I didn't know the fucking tour guide was blind. It's like, yeah, I didn't either. But the guy said I was, and I had to roll with it. You know what I mean? It's like, tiene cataracts in the left eye. Like, no, güey, sí, quédate en el barco, güey. Ahorita sale una anaconda. Like, ¿cuál anaconda? You know what I mean? So that type of style of cooking, that little flavor is cool when you're able to just whip shit up out of thin air. Even if you're just like... That Juve clip, he's just rambling. He's like, no, hombre, güey, neta, un saludo a mi vieja la tóxica.
Dude.
You know what I mean? Just to fill 30 seconds.
God damn it. I don't know if it's because I'm a fan of you already or have been for a long time, but when I saw yesterday you were in the kitchen, you weren't even done with it. I was like, this is going to be great. People loved it as soon as you put it up. And then I saw Eddie Bravo commented on it.
Oh, yeah.
I like how you pinned it, too.
That made my day.
Dude, that made my day.
I'm like, man, this is a jiu-jitsu master, man. He knows talent.
Dude,
this man knows comedy.
Dude, that was
he's cool. Basically telling me I'm a black belt in this shit.
He's basically saying like, hey,
That's
man.
That's pretty much how I took it.
Yeah, he's like, take me on the road.
He's pretty much like, bro, you're damn near like Joe Rogan.
He really did compliment
practically, when he put a fire emoji.
Not just one, like 6.
Yeah, like 6, and he's friends with Rogan. He's basically saying, that I'm cool as well, and that he wouldn't mind showing me some jiu-jitsu.
Dude, that'll be the day. Having some one-on-one time with Eddie and just drinking or smoking and doing a podcast one-on-one. The guy's so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, just kicking it with them when they were in town, like backstage and up there during the Swarm Tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. And then even seeing him do stand-up.
I haven't gotten to do that. I haven't gotten to see him go on stage. It's always just in the podcast scene that I hear him.
Yeah, no, I mean, he actually has a set put together.
Nice.
So, and then he gave me props when I got off stage, so I feel very fulfilled.
You should. Last note for me here before we bounce, because we're going to do this live TIA podcast, which you will have already heard by this time. Did you see the text I sent you that USA Today had talked about Tim Dillon doing that fake hot mic video?
Yeah.
That was genius.
Dude, I need to listen to it. I haven't even seen it.
No? Okay. It's on his Twitter. It's probably on his Instagram as well, but genius. It got on World Star, and then USA Today reported that false, there wasn't really an NBC, person that had a hot mic and were saying that.
They're like, this is misinformation.
Yeah, they were like, no one really said that everyone in the stadium is going to catch COVID and they're going to use the pool as a graveyard. It was so hilarious.
Like quoting the shit that he probably just freestyled, ranted.
Yep, and his caption was, "This is American media.
Idiots."
Yeah. All right, man, let's send them out.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This was Chingo Chats. Shout out producer Rob holding it down. If you have not, well, this is exclusive, so they already are on the Patreon. Right?
They are, but remember, the month after, everybody that's not on this tier gets it, and we put it out, as a teaser.
Yeah, tell a friend. If you have not joined, hit us up, man. Patreon.com/Red Pill Tamales. That's how you get hooked up with all of our premium content. And I will see you in a city near you. My next stops are San Jose, Denver, Colorado, and El Paso. I los guacho. Peace.